Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka geekxxchic, and I'm back with another review to The Flash. This is now for the latest episode, which is called Goldfaced, and I enjoyed it, actually. I really did enjoy it, and if you watch the reaction, you know that one of the main reasons I enjoyed it was because of the villain, Goldfaced. Like, love him. Loved him. I'm so glad they didn't kill him. I mean, we all know that, like, The Flash doesn't really kill villains. I mean, I think the Thinker was the only villain we've had, or the only season really where we've had a bunch of the villains actually die, or people dying in the show overall. Typically people just don't die on the Flash. So anyway, thankfully in this case I'm glad that the Flash kind of has that rule, because I really enjoyed the character of Goldface and I want to see him again. He was so entertaining. The actor was entertaining. The way that they set up his fights and his whole like setup was really entertaining. Like, it's honestly one of the better written villain stories that we've had, I think, the entire story, the whole season, to be perfectly honest. We'll come back to him in a second. Let's talk about some of the smaller parts of the episode, the shorter parts. We'll start, I guess, with Nora and the whole Sherlock thing. I kind of feel like that was completely unnecessary. I'm not gonna lie. I know that this is kind of something that the show always does. They always kind of have to find a way to justify having Tom Cavanaugh on the cast as a regular, and this was like his storyline episode with a little side of Nora. Nora, of course, worrying that Sherlock is getting too close to figuring out that she's working with Thawne and thinking that, you know, she's got to stop him. To me, Thawne was kind of throwing a bone out there with saying the romance thing was really his weakness, but I wouldn't call it a weakness. I would just say that it just shows that he likes women and he has a hard time maintaining relationships. And again, this character is taking so much from the actual Sherlock Holmes character. So if you watch shows like, what is it they have here? Elementary is the American version. I believe it's called Sherlock. The one that's the UK version with Benedict Cumberbatch is amazing if you haven't watched that. They always have this sense that Sherlock is kind of, he's such an intellectual and his way of thinking makes him very disconnected with humans and humanity. And so he's a bit of a sociopath. Not even a bit, he's quite a bit of a sociopath. And so, as you can imagine, it's very difficult for a sociopath to maintain relationships of any kind, let alone a romantic one. So it would make sense that Sherlock would feel the inclination towards love, but because of the way his mind works, he wouldn't really be able to execute the just generic relationshipy, human interaction-y type things that a lot of relationships would require. Like, he'd almost have to marry or be with somebody else who's an intellectual on that level as well, to who just kind of, because they would understand each other. All of that to say that Nora took a stab at thinking that keeping Sherlock distracted with yet another potential romance would be the way to go. But honestly, I don't know what in her right mind would make her think that getting his exes together would ever be a good idea. Like, no, just no. Most people, yeah, their exes aren't really gonna have a lot of flowery, warm things to say about that person. It's usually just another occasion to throw a few more digs in, and yeah, it was just a fiasco. That whole thing was just silly and unnecessary, quite frankly. It's like Nora put him through a whole lot of unnecessary emotional distress just to keep him off of her trail. And I mean, I know why she's doing it, but it's one of those things where when this is all said and done, Nora's gonna have to look back and realize that this trail of destruction is getting worse because of her need to continue to maintain this lie. And if her intentions are as pure as what she's saying so far, which is that Thawne is helping her stop Cicada of the future, then at this point, now that she knows that her parents are the way they are, now that she's developed these relationships, she should feel like she can go to them and say, look guys, I know this is not going to go over well, but I need to be honest, and then tell the truth. But the more lies she keeps doing, the more manipulation, the more secrets she keeps continuing to create, that's just going to make things a lot worse for her down the line. So it makes me wonder how it's all going to end up, or if we're even going to deal with this properly. And I feel like it has to, because we're seeing way more of Thawne now than we saw at all during the first half of the season. So for some reason, Sherlock figuring out that the version of his ex-wife on this earth is a meta has thrown him into a tailspin. Well, I guess I was gonna say I wasn't sure why he went back to the Cicada case, but it makes sense in the sense of, if he's in love with this woman in every version of her on every earth, now he's gonna be even extra motivated to catch Cicada now, so that he doesn't figure out that she's a meta and go after her, right? Like, that's saving this woman's life in the future. So I guess that works, but I really like to think that Sherlock hasn't been thrown off of Nora's trail 100% at this point. Like, I hope that at some point something will click in, or that he's still going to investigate things. But as it stands, we had our side story, so I guess the mission was accomplished. Now on to the whole storyline with Ralph and Barry going and being criminals in the underworld, trying to sell or buy illegal tech so that they could figure out a way to knock Cicada out long enough to administer the Metacure. Now, I feel like this is all overkill, because even though Cicada is stronger and he's got the dagger, he's still very much human. We've seen him get knocked out, knocked down, like, he's not impervious. I just feel like there could be a lot, like, his skin's not impervious. He's not impervious to drugs. Like, there's just so many other things I feel like we could be exploring, but let's go with getting an EMP basically to try to take him out. That of course is on the black market. Interesting that they didn't bring back Amunet again, since they seem to be in the habit of bringing back these villains over and over again. But as I said before, I'm very happy that we got Goldface. That was just so much fun. What I loved about this, besides the fact that, like, we'll get to his fight scene, which was awesome later, but I loved the whole setup. It was believable. It's one of the most believable parts that this show has had in a long time. The whole setup of having a meta that can open up the ground underneath wherever the person is and put them well into the underground, someplace where tracking devices and radio waves aren't able to get to. The fact that he's got a whole underground market of all of his different illegal wares, whether they be meta tech or not, being sold under there. The fact that they've got a system in place to say that if someone tries to buy up all of your product or do something that's suspicious, one button will alert everybody to know that, hey, there's a cop or somebody in here that's not supposed to be. The fact that they put meta cuffs on everybody coming in so they don't get stolen from or taken over by a meta who's super powerful. Like, just so much forethought and organization with exactly what I expect from an organizational crime unit. Like, it just made my heart glad to see that Goldface had his stuff together. Like, even better than Amunet when you think about it at this point. Like, amazing. And I love the fact that he let the other guy, the one who found them, put the cuffs on them, started out with the whole introductions. They kind of, like, he lets this other guy pretend, like, he didn't even let anyone know that he wasn't Goldface until the time was right to let them know who Goldface was. Like, that's all perfectly believable and strategic criminal activity. Like, it was just so nice to see it really be believable. Honestly, the least believable thing about that was Barry showing up in that horrible outfit with that absolutely god-awful chain on, trying to act like he's a thug. This is one of those moments where Ralph, especially since he's supposed to be a detective and someone who's good at, like, sliding in and out of spaces and being undetected, they should have known the right way to approach this. Like, Barry is as white bread, clean cut, square, just golly gosh gee whiz as you can get. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he could not be a squarer square. You cannot bring him in there and just slap some gangsta clothes on him and think it's gonna be believable. Like, no. If they wanted to use Barry in this, they should have done something where maybe he was the smart tech criminal. You know what I mean? Like the crunchy granola, Silicon Valley, really, really yuppie, but really smart and in a criminal way type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, they should have just played up to what he actually could look like, as opposed to trying to make him look like something he wasn't. And again, bringing him in that situation, of course, as soon as he saw the guns that were meant to kill cops, Barry was going to do something heroic. Like, Barry is just too square for this. And I feel like this is one of those things where Barry has to recognize that it's just not intrinsic to him to do things that are bad or awful. Like, I go back to the crossover episode when Barry and Oliver were criminals for like 5 minutes. And I mean, it was a funny moment, but again, we remember when Barry went and he knocked over that crane, like him and Oliver knocked over that crane so that the bad, evil Superman would go and stop it from hitting all those kids. And I remember afterwards, Barry was like bent over and dry heaving. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I feel sick. Ugh. Like, that's Barry. Like, it goes against his actual moral fiber. Like, his actual soul cannot do crime on purpose. So it just didn't belong in that situation at all. And maybe if he had left Ralph alone to do it from top to bottom, it might have gotten done. But I digress. It didn't work out. Thankfully, my man Goldface he saw right through it. He's no dummy. We see now why he's been running the underground for so long. And man, first of all, you know that Grant And Hartley must have had a ball shooting that scene where they were taking down everybody with the stun guns. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of action. It was nice to see as well that, you know, because let's face it, as I said many times before, Barry can't fight. So at least with a gun, he wasn't completely god-awful. And it was nice to see Team Flash once again show that they've got skill sets outside of their powers. In the end, of course, when they go up against Goldface, that, first of all, that was amazing how like Goldface is like, I'm gonna take care of you the old-fashioned way, and he starts rolling up his sleeves, and then both Ralph and Barry just plug him full of stuns. Like, no, we are not fighting you, sir. We're not good at this. For once, Barry was like, no, actually, I'm not so great at that. Let me use this gun right here. But little did they know that he had gold. Yeah, the man is solid gold, okay? He is the Goldface, and that was really cool. The fact that he's basically liquid metal underneath his skin, that was crazy. But yeah, in the end, he did get to, oh yeah, the chain whip, girl, that was a great idea. That was amazing. I just want to say that was amazing. That's why I said I want to see more of him. I would love him to be like part of some kind of League of Evil, like, because I would love to see that just go as far and as crazy as it could get on a show like this, because I think they could have so much fun with a character like him. But I digress. He was taken out, but thankfully not killed. So I do hope we get to see him again, because I don't even think they got to arrest him there because they had the medicuffs on. But that was a really fun storyline overall, even though we didn't get our objective in the end. And we didn't need to get that particular item, thankfully. Why? Because onto my girl, Queen Iris. Yes, my queen, the legend, the empress, the one who rains down amazingness upon all of us, and we just bask in her glory, Miss Iris. Yes, yeah. I'm not happy about how she went about things, okay? Her going to Dwyer's house alone was a dumb. That was season 2 Iris dumb. Like, girl, I'm not saying Iris is not a badass, okay? Because that's anything that she's proven is out of Team Flash, she is absolutely the baddest of badasses. She's the one who has no powers yet can kick ass, wield a gun, throw bombs from her ears, jump off of buildings. Like, Iris is a force, but she is not invincible. And Dwyer is like 6 times stronger than her. Let's be real. If he can throw Barry around, if he can throw Cisco and all these other grown men who outweigh Iris by a solid 50 pounds around like ragdoll, she's got to be careful. And she didn't have a piece with her. You feel me? If Joe were here, he would have lost his mind. When's Joe coming back? 1 more week. Anyway, but still, I wasn't happy about her taking them kind of crazy ass chances. Those were not smart. However, the smooth move she made of like, oh, I just opened this door and snuck in, even though I think, you know, I knew it didn't work because Dwyer heard her moving around earlier. He just didn't see her. And you know, his weak lung, he can't just be lumbering around the house too much. But I think she did a great cover story. Obviously, we know that Iris can think quickly on her feet, but man, that little action scene at the back, like, you know, Dwyer thought she was just gonna be some scary little girl. Not today, sir. Not here. Not Miss West Allen. That's right. Not only did she outwit your ass, but she gave you a bit of a beating, and then she took anything, any old weapon she could. Listen, if that had been Barry, he would have been sitting there looking all wide-eyed, wondering how he can't vibrate his way out of the situation. Iris said, let me get this pen right here. Let me get this pen that you used to sign them damn checks to pay for Grace's hospital bills and stab you right in your bitch ass chest with it. That's what you get for even attempting to touch this gorgeous ass weave. That's what you get for putting your hands on this jacket, this suit that costs more than your entire existence. How dare you? How dare you, sir? You deserved everything you got and more. In fact, I kind of wish Iris had taken the pen and twisted it just a little bit. You know, just like, why don't you inhale one time so you can feel how much you ticked me off, sir? But then again, I'm just a kind of a violent person by nature. Anyway, I am so proud that Iris was able to take care of herself, but it was a very stupid risk for her to take. And of course, as we saw, Cicada, even though he's a terrible, terrible actor, he's not stupid, and he has been piecing together that the Flash has a family. We saw him looking through that picture book a couple episodes ago, and now that he's seen Iris's face and gone toe-to-toe with her, I don't think it's going to take him very long to start to figure out who she is. And of course, unfortunately, as usual, she's probably going to be a target to get to Barry in, you know, down the line. Either way, I think he will definitely approach Iris with caution going forward, because she let him know, don't mistake the petite figure and the fresh ass wardrobe for weakness, sir. Okay, don't ever do that again. Iris may live in the suburbs, but she is a queen, okay? Just know that. Thankfully, through all of that, the one good thing out of it, oh, well, I shouldn't say the one good thing. It's always great to see Iris reign. But the other good thing was that they discovered that the wound that the Meditech is in Cicada's chest is indeed a weakness for him. Like, he crumpled like a rag doll as soon as he had any kind of impact there. So, as I think I said maybe 4 or 5 reviews ago, I said that even though this piece of Meditech is making him stronger in some regards, I think it is still killing him at the same time because it's not natural. His body was never meant to have a foreign object in there. And I think, unfortunately, it's probably killing Gracie as well. But she's younger and it's a smaller fragment. But anyway, I think, you know, it's a, what do you call it, a double-edged sword. It's made him stronger, but it's also killing him slowly. So now that they know that Cicada's got a big weak spot, which you'd think he would have figured out to cover up, which maybe he might do from now on. But now at least they know that if they can get him there and get him hard enough, they might be able to keep him down long enough to administer the Medicure and end that storyline, which honestly at this point I'm kind of ready to happen because I want to know what's happening with this Thawne thing. Why do they keep drawing it out? Is it something that's going to persist into next season? Because I'm not exactly sure how or why that should be the case. Overall, great episode. I did miss seeing my man Cisco. However, considering that he's on this weird metahuman cure kick, I'm okay with it. It's sad to see, like when I see a sidekick episode like this, I really wish it could have been Barry and Cisco, but it's okay. Overall, still an enjoyable episode. What did you guys think of the episode? How do you think things are going with the season so far? And do you think we're going to wrap up this whole thing with Cicada in the next couple of episodes? Please let me know in the comments below. You know I love reading those comments and getting involved in the conversation with you. And if you like this video, guys, please click like. And if you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time,